Welcome to Back on the Broomstick,
A modern witch's spoken word grimoire.
where two witchy friends from way back are reconnecting to their pagan roots after a long period of mundanity.
We're rewalking the path of the wise and trying out all the latest spells, rituals, and magical theory in today's witchcraft and pagan practices.
So grab your wand and your incense
Your cauldron and your crystals
and join us
as we get
back on the broomstick.
Hi, and welcome to Back on the Broomstick. I'm Layla, and on this episode, we're sitting down with Beck Ravenswood, the witch, tarot reader, community creator, and metaphysical consignment shop owner who's currently embroiled in a legal battle that was started by a couple of suits wielding an anti-divination law from 1869.
And I'm Chelle, and as a new resident of Pennsylvania, I'm intrigued, I am appalled, I am disgusted.
Astonished.
Yeah.
Astonished is a word, and I need to know what the hell is going on, because the fact that this is even a thing in 2026 just blows my damn mind. So, Beck, we welcome you to the show, and we're so glad you're here. And what's up? Tell us a little bit about you first.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I secretly have been listening to your podcast for a very, very long time. So thank you so much for letting me be here. It's like kind of surreal actually. Anyways, hi, my name is Beck.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, of course. My name is Beck. I am the owner and proprietor of the Serpent's Shop and Sanctuary. I've been a practicing witch. I got into witchcraft when I was like 13, as one does, especially in the early 2000s. And yeah, I have really just kind of followed this path for a very long time. I'm 28 now, and the Serpent's Key is kind of like a collective store. We have all sorts of artists, artisans, vendors. It's kind of like a witchy consignment shop. That
Ooh.
is, yeah, it's really fun. I really like obviously like hand making items for my practice or having that kind of handmade quality to it. So I really
Mhm.
wanted to be like intentional about like the vendors that we have here and just making sure that everything's like ethically sourced and as close to home and Hanover based as possible. So
Now,
yeah.
that's something that's amazing about your shop. I've checked you out online. We have been fans of yours. We've been watching you since this whole thing went down in October of 2023, was
Isn't
it?
that crazy?
Yeah.
2023 for sure.
So your shop is fantastic in this way. You do bring people together. You are definitely a community creator because not only do you bring in artisans and local people to sell at your shop, you also have community outreach. You have
Yeah.
classes, you have workshops, you have,
Workshops.
other people come in locally to teach and to share their knowledge. Can you tell us a little bit about being part of a community in that way?
Yeah, so it's awesome. Pennsylvania is like a very witchy place to live. Like it really
Yeah.
is. It's a state. I mean, it was founded on like religious freedom, and the Quakers had, I think, a lot of influence in
Hmm.
how inclusive a lot of spaces can be.
Which still makes your
Um,
story so
I
bizarre.
know, dude. I know. It's like another layer of like a crazy. It's like I keep calling it a crazy lasagna. Like it's just, you know, but. Hanover and like York County, Pennsylvania in general has such a rich pagan community that I kind of started back in like 2021, many moons ago. I started organizing pagan events at local parks, like for free,
Ooh.
basically, because I was really sick and tired of being a solitary witch after COVID. So yeah, I was like, you know what? It's like $40 to rent a pavilion, and like, you know what? People are gonna stare at us. Whatever. We're having a funky picnic, like. But
I'm gonna call our next ritual a funky picnic. I love
is it
it.
not? Like, come
Yeah.
on, no. Of course, that takes away a little bit of the seriousness. But if anyone asked, like, we're just having a picnic, dog. Like, whatever. Um, and then from that, I kind of like those gatherings became popular, and I really felt like we needed like a space for that. And there were a couple other metaphysical stores in Hanover, but I really wanted there to be like a meeting place or a place where people could come and practice and like gather either in ritual or for some sort of spiritual purpose, if that makes sense. So
Not just a
yes,
metaphysical store, but a sacred area
right.
for people to gather.
Yep. So, if you look at like the full name of my shop, it's the Serpent's Key Shop and Sanctuary, because that is like something that I think is like really been foundational to like the creation of this space, and it's something that I hope to like keep kind of delving into. So yes, we do definitely have like workshops. We host like authors all the time, which is like really cool, whether they're local authors, but I've also been privileged to work with people like Amy Blackthorne, who like publishes under Wiser, or like Elise Wells, who is like a Llewellyn author. So like we've had like a lot of really great like people who are local, like local to Hanover or like nearby, who've been able to kind of like pop up and like kind of give people like a one-on-one sort of like experience in that way, which I think is really like unique and like vital, especially in a time where so much of our learning and knowledge comes from like online sources, kind of like, podcasts or even the
Right,
content that I
right.
make.
Right.
You know what I mean?
In person is so
Yeah.
here in our area, northern PA, southern tier
Yep.
of New York, also started a community for the exact same reasons. It's so
Yeah.
imperative that we get together, and having a space like yours is so good for community because people can come together for all sorts of different reasons. And it sounds like from the articles that I've read about you and your shop, you are a vital part of the community. People from all different walks come here, and that makes your story even a little more bizarre because as
Yeah.
someone who is community minded, who is out there, who is helping
Giving
community, who's
back.
providing a service, how does something like this court case, this discrimination case, how does something like this happen? Like what exactly, what
Like,
are we
what the
talking
hell?
What
about?
are
So
we even talking
what
about?
happened?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, okay, so many moons ago, like I said, when I was opening up my space in 2023, I I reached out to like a local nonprofit called Main Street Hanover, and they had a thing where they would write up an article about like small businesses in downtown Hanover. My
Again,
shop,
community getting
yeah,
together, helping each other out.
awesome.
Love it.
Absolutely. Like we had a great time. They came in, took pictures, wrote up a little article, and they were set to publish it at the beginning of October, because my grand opening was, of course, going to be on Samhain on the 31st of October. That,
Mhm.
Of
because
course.
we're a witch,
As one
obviously,
does.
and I love Halloween. Yeah, it's
Yes.
fun. So, anyways, they wrote up an article, and in the last line of the article, they included the fact that I offer tarot reading as a service. And that's literally all it was. It was just like, oh, and also like it was almost just kind of like an add-on,
Mhm.
basically. Um, they published the article on October 3rd, which is like Mean Girls Day, which I think is very funny in the grand scheme of this story. And apparently, the police chief of Hanover like personally read the letter, and reached out to the nonprofit, informing them that they would be in to notify me that like there's a law on Pennsylvania's books that dates back to 1861, that outlaws fortune telling of any kind. So it goes into detail. It's really long if you look it up, but it outlaws like fortune telling, palmistry, astrology, necromancy, love spells. Like it has like
Any
all of,
basically witchcraft, it felt
yeah,
like, because we
exactly.
did go read it, and it really felt like it was targeting witchcraft as a whole.
Yeah, right. It really didn't leave a whole lot of like margin for error. So he was not going to arrest me that day, he says, but he was just there to inform me. So that way I was, a well-informed citizen. So I said, okay.
Lord.
Yeah, and I like immediately called a lawyer and they laughed at me.
Really?
Yeah, they were like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean like that he's trying to arrest you for witchcraft? Like if he even comes in, like just let us know." And like people thought it was like silly or like that it was like just because it is a little silly, like for sure. But in that moment I was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna go to jail.
It sounds silly, but this is a real law
It is
that
serious.
really
It is
could be
serious.
enforced that
Yeah.
carries a potential penalty of
Yeah.
$2,500 and up
Correct.
to a year in jail per
Yeah.
offense. Per
Correct. And
offense.
if you look at one of the clauses, like advertising can be used as evidence against you. So anytime I posted about it on like social media,
That would be an offense.
correct, they could be like, oh, do you know how many times I post about tarot in a week? Like a lot.
And hello, I am going to out us right now and say we've also apparently done this. So This is serious. This is serious. It
Right.
sounds silly.
Yeah, it sounds fake. Like it sounds
Yeah.
not real. Like it sounds like hee hee
But
ha ha. Like, well, let me cut to the cameras because this is like an episode of Parks and Rec.
yeah, but you have been threatened, literally threatened with jail and
Yeah,
fines.
and fines by the police chief. So 2 days later, himself and another unnamed officer came in what I am calling like their casual Friday uniform. So it
Uh-huh.
wasn't like the full tactical like suit or anything, but they did have like matching like blue polos with like the logo on it and
Yeah.
like khakis. Like, do you know what I mean?
It was apparent that they were officers.
Yeah,
I
like
was raised in that environment, and it's definitely
yeah.
like a day uniform.
Right, totally. Like I could tell that they were like at the office and it was like a Thursday or a Friday. So like I can't imagine, they really needed to be like strapped to deal with me, honestly. But anyways, um they came in and I think I've like posted video about it. I should probably post it again because it is kind of funny. But I like greeted them and stuff and they introduced themselves. I at immediately asked if I could record our conversation.
Smart.
And the
Very
right,
smart.
because like I don't want to mince words. I don't want it to be he said, she said. And also in Pennsylvania, if you don't ask, that's wiretapping.
Right.
So it's like I'm trying to be a good person and also
Right.
not incur more crimes. They denied me my right to record, which is actually illegal because it was a police interaction. So technically, I didn't need to even ask. But what he said to me was that he denied it because they came as like a person, like on a personal matter. Like it wasn't a police matter. They were just there personally. So he was denying me my right to record our conversation. And I was like,
What were they
okay.
stopping by on the way to the lake? What?
Yeah, I was like, okay. And at that point, I was like, okay, I don't, if that's really what's going on here, I don't feel comfortable talking to you like without a
Right.
lawyer if I can't record our conversation. Which again, I feel like is well within my rights and wasn't anything like
Absolutely.
crazy. I watch a lot of true crime, so I was like, okay, what do they tell you to do? Like,
You are alone. You are a person alone in a shop.
right, in the shop alone.
Two authority figures come in threatening
Right.
you. You got to have some type of
Something
backup.
like
Yeah.
something, right? So at that point I kind of realized that they weren't going to leave until they came to do whatever they were going to do. So he looked at me and he goes, I'm just trying to have an adult conversation with you.
Oh, how
No,
patronizing.
he's an adult bully.
I just kind of said, okay, it's fine, please, just if I'll hear you out. Like, I'm happy to hear you out. So he went on, he cited the law to me, all the statutes and whatever. And I pointed out to him, I was like, hey, man, just like in good faith, like I have multiple disclaimers up all throughout my shop, or did at the time. I have multiple still, in a different shop, actually. But I have like a disclaimer that says, like, hi, by going through the service, you are acknowledging that I am not like a lawyer, a banker, a candlestick maker. Like, I'm not,
Right.
like I'm not pretending to be anything that I'm not. This is tarot reading. It's done for like spiritual, whatever. Like I put for entertainment purposes only because that's
Yeah.
what I was advised to do before any of
Yep.
this. So yeah, it was definitely just kind of like he looked at the pieces of paper and he said, those little pieces of paper will never hold up in court. And
Wow.
I kind of just said, okay, have a nice day, officer, and like waved them out. And that was kind of just it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
crazy, dude. I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like I was being grounded. Like my dad was like, go to your room.
For
Stop
reading
it.
tarot cards.
Yeah,
How
stop
dare you?
levitating, you crazy woman. Like,
This law, this statute was discriminatory to begin with. It was
for sure.
most of these were put in place because, they didn't want the Romney people to come through or
Correct.
or
Yep.
any other
Like
roving people from out of
like
town.
people, right, because it was so entrenched in that like kind of community. It was not taxable either, and that was like a really big issue
Ah
for
ha
people
ha.
too.
That's probably really it right there. They couldn't
They
get
Yep.
their
can't make
cut.
money.
Correct. Because it was all really done like under the table or like again amongst like friends and neighbors. So that's why you see the language in there as being like gain or lucre. Because like it could be that you're trading chicken eggs for a
Right.
reading or whatever.
Exactly.
But that's you're
And
still
I
gaining
have.
something. Yeah, sure, me too, dude. Like I have traded. In fact, I do something like once a month at my friend's coffee shop where I invite people to come pay me however they want. Which is like, hey,
Ooh,
if you want to like sing me a song and do a dance, like that also works. Like I have other readers
Yeah,
who come in. I got my palm read the last time. That was cool. So yeah,
that's
it's a
really
nice little
that's
fun.
exchange
awesome.
space, you know? Because well, dude, the economy's in the toilet. Like, let's be so
It
real,
is.
right? Like, and I don't believe that there should be like that. Um, I always want to make tarot reading accessible if I can. So that's kind of what
I
my
love that.
solution has been, and I do a couple other days like that around the shop. So
All right.
yeah, it's fun.
I'm gonna throw you under the bus here, Beck, because
Yeah,
as someone who has also entered kind of the shady reading cards for illicit gain world, I've heard a
right.
rumor that you may have possibly back in the day sat in the back end of bars and read for
Oh
beer money.
yeah, dude. Absolutely,
Is that
man.
true?
Yeah. 100%. That's actually, I always joke that I ran the gauntlet like in college of like learning how to read tarot for other people because like reading tarot in a bar is unlike anything I've ever done. There's so much going on. There's like a lot of chaos, and being able to like focus your energy and see through that. Like, I know it sounds a little silly, but we are witches. Um,
Absolutely. No, that's
and it,
exactly it. Yes.
And a lot of different characters to read for.
yeah, right. You kind of get a mix of everything and you get to
Yeah.
meet a lot of different types of people, which is my favorite thing to do. But yeah, that's really I feel like I strengthened my skills the most like when I was yeah, I used to read in the backs of bars for beer money. Indeed,
That's
indeed.
great. It sounds like me in college. I mean, I know, okay, so I might be a tiny bit older than you, but in college I did the
Yeah,
same
like
thing, bartering for
exactly.
reading for food, reading for
Tattoos,
beer
yeah,
or weed
totally,
money, whole
whatever.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's and I think that there is something that like really beautiful about that I really want to like preserve in my current practice, but like in general, I think that that is something that is so um special and fun and something I hope never goes away.
I have kind of a left turn question
Okay.
for you,
Yeah,
Beck.
please do.
So I heard how you obtained your first tarot deck because, well, if you're a listener, you know that I have an obsession that is uncontrollable. I heard that you got the first deck at the Met.
I did, yeah.
When you said what that deck was, I was
Mhm.
like, they started with that deck?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, isn't that so crazy?
So, do you read with that deck still? Tell us the deck that you got and how difficult was it to start with a non-traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck?
So, yes, I did get my first tarot deck at the Met, and I started reading with the medieval Scapini tarot deck, which,
Ouch.
if yeah, dude, has absolutely nothing to do like with what it says in the book. Like the imagery does not really match up with the Rider Waite at all, which is what most of like the little booklets that they put in with tarot decks are based off of, which is
Right.
great and fine and like absolutely okay. But like that's a more contemporary understanding and depiction of the cards versus this kind of like medieval like you know illuminated manuscript type deck that I was learning on. So that is the one that I used for years for the majority of the time when I was in bars and stuff doing all that. But
Wow.
yeah, it was just kind of I mean you just kind of learn it, you know.
Yep.
It is definitely a it was
Forgive me for
very challenging.
stereotyping you, but all you had to say was that deck and you got it at the Met and oh, you're an artist. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I went to art school.
Yeah.
I have my bachelor's degree in fashion design actually. So it
Yeah.
is yeah, it was
Not surprised.
definitely yeah, you know. These days though, I switched about 5 years ago now. I went up to Salem, Massachusetts, and I bought the Ethereal Visions tarot deck at like
Hmm.
one of the shops there, which is more based on the Rider Waite and it's kind of like an Art Nouveau style, which I really,
Oh, I
really
have
like.
it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's really,
It
really
is.
gorgeous. So like
It is.
Matt
It's a really
Hughes,
nice deck.
yeah, he's such a fabulous artist. I've been working with that one, like that specific deck for like years and years and years now. So I don't think I'm changing anytime soon. I've yet to find one that I resonate quite as much with, but I think a lot of people really like that deck as well.
I love people's deck stories because I started out with the worst deck ever, the
Yeah.
Aquarian deck. And
Oh yeah, that one's fun.
Lord, like I even said to Layla this morning, I don't even know how I stuck with tarot after starting with that deck. Um,
Yeah, dude.
That was your first deck. Now, you had the privilege, the wonderful joy of being born into a time where the internet existed.
Yeah.
Witchcraft was just a few keystrokes away.
Yeah, and I had unrestricted access to like Wikipedia, dude. Like it was
Wonderful.
rabbit hole after rabbit hole. I actually discovered Wicca by watching Scooby-Doo, of all things. Yeah,
That episode. There,
the
yes.
yes,
Salem
there's an
episode.
Yep, there's like, the hex girls and they're like, we're not witches, we're Wiccans. And I was like, whatever that is, that's what I want to be. Like
I love
I
that.
like that. So that's kind of what like led me down this foray. But I wasn't really allowed to study witchcraft when I was like a teenager. My parents were like, that's the devil. Like, very like conservative kind of upbringing and all of that good stuff. But it definitely has been super fun. I grew up in kind of like this techno pagan era, as I like to say, kind of between like the 90s when like witchcraft was cool and like the 2020s when witchcraft was cool again. So like I was like in that weird little like phase, I feel, where it was very much like the only information you can find is on like Tumblr or like Angel Fire websites or like
Yeah.
Witchvox or like what have you. So it was very I definitely had a very solitary practice in the beginning, and I think that's kind of why I want to make such accessible community spaces for people to like come in and learn and like experience witchcraft, not just like scroll like on their timeline about it?
Live it, don't just read about it.
Right. And it's not to say that like reading is bad, but I do think that like there is a point in everyone's practice where you have to like switch from like method and theory to like practicum?
Yes. And we
100%.
come from a background where we were kind of in person a little bit back in the
Totally.
late 90s, early 2000s, and then
Hmm.
it kind of got quiet.
Yeah.
People lost touch. They went almost
Right.
strictly online. And now with the environment being what it is, I think people like you, people here, we're all
Hmm.
across the country, across the world, we're being drawn to more in person, getting back together and creating these communities and being more in space together.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned earlier in the episode that you were feeling that, and that's why you started doing the rituals in the park and
Yeah.
why you wanted to create this space. If this type of discriminatory law that you are fighting against, if this stands, what do you see for the future here of community, of pagan communities? Like, what can we do to move this forward? How do you see us kind of moving past this type of discrimination?
I really think that like empowering people to kind of stand up for like injustice and to say like, yes, this kind of stuff is silly, quote unquote, but it is also important, right? And committing to kind of seeing that through or seeing things struck from the record, while it does take a modicum of courage, I would say. I think that it is really important that we do kind of take our magic offline as well. Because we can talk about it, we can blog about it, you can post about it on your Substack, what have you. But I do think that like the real like magic and just like anything in this world, like you have to match your mundane action with your magical intention. So it's kind of like these two things. And that's something that I try to like impart like in any sort of workshop that I like teach or have like, working at the shop. It's about like, yes, we are lighting a candle and we're doing all of these things and we're saying words. But it's also about I don't know, the energy and like the going
Yes.
through the motion of it and what you do afterwards. That really counts.
Yes.
The action is equally as important as everything else.
Of course, of course.
Absolutely. Now, is there anything that people can do to help you out? From what I understand, when this episode goes out, there'll be maybe 2 weeks left before you actually go to court for this
Yes. We are kind of going to court. It's like a digital court.
hearing.
So, yes, basically, we have like a conference with like the judge and the opposing counsel and all of that to kind of set out like a timeline of like how long that this is going to kind of take. So, right now, I started kind of this legal process in 2023. It's now 2026. So it is
Wow.
definitely kind of like dragged out, and they do want to kind of set a firm timeline on that. So I
Right.
should get my witch trial date on the 22nd. Now, the likelihood of it actually, again, being like me being hauled down to Harrisburg is kind of up in the air. It's 50-50. It's whatever the judge wants to do. But it's likely that they'll just rule outright, like one way or another, which is
Uh-huh.
really, really cool. So we just kind of have to present the evidence, which my lawyer is currently getting compiled and all of that good
Good,
stuff.
good.
So on July 22nd at 10:30 a.m., I've been kind of posting about this. So if you don't mind me asking for some help,
Yes,
if
please
folks really
do.
want to get involved, because I do think it is like important to like have these big community and group workings. I've put out instructions for a candle spell all over my Instagram. So it's basically like pick a candle of one of three colors. There's a bunch of herbs that I listed, like bay leaf, cedar, frankincense, nettle, pepper, pine, elm, and hickory, which you can use any amount of to dress your candle and then to light it either on the 22nd, preferably at 10:30 a.m., but at any time, just to kind of empower that spell work or like the success of legalizing fortune telling in Pennsylvania, because it is something that, while it is silly and it's an old law and it's not really enforced all the time, it still stands as something that could, right? And I'm not willing to like take that chance, like for me, much less anybody else. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I do think that like I feel. I really want to give people an avenue or like a way to help, but like the beauty of this whole thing is that my lawyer's been working like pro bono like for me on this. So like everyone's like, "Can I give you money?" And it's like, "No." But you can like send energy or light a candle, or as part of this, I'm also asking people to either write a letter or send a postcard to their representatives in Pennsylvania, or just a representative in Pennsylvania if you are from outside of the state. Um, and just kind of like express what you feel about the law, because that is something that also helps kind of like bolster the argument, indeed, where it's like, okay, do you see that the rest of the state kind of agrees and doesn't want this law in the books? Okay, awesome, so what are you going to do about it? So it is kind of, it is helpful in a lot of ways, and also I think that it gives people I don't know, an avenue to get involved in local politics and to maybe feel a little bit more empowered to make change, for sure.
Now, I have a question because
Yes.
as ridiculous and disgusting as this whole conversation is, Pennsylvania is not the only state.
Correct. There's like a bunch more. There's like I think Oklahoma,
I think Wisconsin,
Wisconsin. Yeah, there
there was
it's
a
like considered
handful.
a vagabond law. Like they're not, again, they're just like this where they're not necessarily enforced, but they still are on the books and they could be. And
Right.
that's the danger there, especially in like
What is your advice for someone who is also living in a state with this issue outside of Pennsylvania, but one of the other lists of states that have the same laws still? What is your advice to them if they encounter this adult bullying, or they feel threatened, or they're concerned for their safety because of witchcraft or tarot reading?
yeah.
What's your advice to those folks that are also in states that are facing these issues legally?
So the beauty, at least of the rule in Pennsylvania, it's only for gain or lucre. So really, people who are the most in trouble are like business owners. And as a business owner, you should probably have a business lawyer like in your back pocket, anyways. Which I know, again, as a small business owner, seems like a crazy and adult thing to have to do, but like it's important, especially when you have like this kind of like BS law on the books that, is kind of hanging over your head like the sword of Damocles, like where it's like, okay, when is this going to happen?
Yeah.
So I really think that just having like a team and a support system and knowing your rights, like from extent of the law, like when it's been enforced, how it's been enforced, and how that pertains to you. Because the Pennsylvania law has never been enforced on its own. It's only ever been tacked on to like cases of like hundreds of thousands of dollars of fraud, like wire fraud, when the flavor of the scam that they're using is like pretending to be a fortune teller. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it's really only added on to like tack on time or like fines, if that makes sense. So it's never really been like used on its own, which again just makes this so much more unusual, like as to why they would do that. So just again, knowing the law, knowing kind of your rights as a citizen, I think I wish I was a little bit more prepared. I wish I paid more attention in like civics class or whatever. But I've learned a lot through this and how much sovereignty we really do have, like as American citizens. Like I know that sounds crazy to say, but I've been able to do a lot and see a lot, like through this process, and it's been humbling and inspiring for sure.
We will put some information down for people to find you and also to find some of the legislators here in Pennsylvania that might help make a difference,
Absolutely.
including Representative Greg Scott. And you
Yes.
were able to go to a hearing, I believe, like a year or so ago.
Yes, literally a year ago, like in a couple days. Like it was around July of last year, which is like so crazy. So I got to go to the like PA House of Representatives, like the Capitol building, like in Harrisburg, and I got to sit in on the Judiciary Committee, which basically is like a committee that votes as to whether a bill should be sent to the House or Senate floor in order to be voted on by the general like legislative body. So last year, Greg Scott introduced like Representative Scott, excuse me, introduced a bill, HB 1562, I believe. And that was a bill just to fully like repeal the law because it is unconstitutional and on the basis of that. So it passed the Judiciary Committee 13 to 12, which was
Wow.
crazy. I have never been like biting my nails so hard in my entire life. But yeah, I got to go sit in like the Capitol building and kind of watch a bill like in the process of becoming a law.
That's
So
very
right
cool.
now, I think honestly because of the lawsuit, it's kind of frozen because they're waiting for the judge's like
I see.
summary on it. But hopefully, if the judge rules on the law, like the bill won't be needed. So either way, like one way or the other, whether the bill like gets decided first or the lawsuit is decided first, I'm happy, like honestly. So you know.
Perfect. Now, I think we are going to put up another spell to go along with yours. We'll put some
Awesome.
information to
Thank
your
you, dude.
spell, but I think that we're going to put up a spell involving tarot cards and
I
Hecate
love
because
it.
you definitely have a connection to Hecate from what
For
I
sure.
understand, and so does
Yes.
our lovely Shell here. What witch doesn't,
I
really?
mean, come on, mother of witches and all that
That's
good stuff.
right. So some opening of the crossroads to make
Yeah.
sure that, everything is
I
comes to
love that.
light, that things are there.
Absolutely.
So we'll have some information for that.
I so appreciate that, and I will definitely share that as well. When I was designing this, I'm such like a nervous Nelly. I'm like, I don't ever want to make anyone do anything that they don't want to, like, do you know what I mean?
Sure,
But I
yeah.
really so appreciate like
Yes.
those two aspects. I think that's awesome.
I
So,
think
so
that'll be
awesome.
fantastic. Now, now I understand. Can you just tell us a little bit about you have a shrine to Hecate at the shop?
Yes,
She is
we do.
someone that you work
So,
with. Can you tell us a little bit
a
about your
hundred
path
percent.
with her?
So, when I was going through kind of my decision to become a business owner, I basically, I'm not going to say I made a bargain, but basically I said, hey man, like if you help me with this, then I will establish a sanctuary for you. So where we hold our rituals, our like kind of our circles, our community gatherings, I do have an altar that's like set up to her with all these like
Nice.
keys. We have had people from all over the world send keys to the shop or bring them in as like a
Ooh,
tribute, which
Nice.
is really, really cool. So like it kind of started as like I just I liked it and I thought it was a cool like
Nice.
visual as well. Um, but then it's grown and become almost like a community art project as well.
I love that. Sounds like she kept her
oh,
word and you kept your word.
I'm doing my best. I'm
Yes.
trying. I'm trying.
Layla, we are gonna have to sometime before the end of the summer go down to Hanover and take some
Listen,
keys to the
I've got
Hecate
a key that
shrine.
needs to go
it's
on that
fun.
shrine, so
It's
we'll be
really
there.
fun. Absolutely, dude. And hey, listen, I get weird stuff in the mail all the time, and that is probably the least weird thing. So,
Perfect, perfect.
oh my goodness. But yes, absolutely. Everyone is like welcome to gather. It's there for not just Hecatean witches, but anybody. Like we have like someone left like a Buddha statue that I
I
have
love
like kind of
that.
up there, even though not really my guy, but like
Eh,
somebody's, you
he's a
know?
good
So
guy.
yeah, exactly. So he's like up, like we have a little like shelf where people can venerate different deities if they so
Yeah.
choose. So
Ooh.
it's cool. Yeah.
That is cool. Well, thank you so much for being a welcoming person, a welcoming community, and Thanks for standing up for all of us.
Fighting the good fight, man.
That takes
Doing
some
my
big balls.
at the very least.
That takes that definitely big magic right there. We appreciate
Indeed.
that. Big
I
witch
love it.
energy, right?
Oh my goodness. Indeed.
And also thank you for coming on the show. We will put links to all of your stuff, all of your website, your Instagram. Make sure people can find you on TikTok. We love your TikTok videos.
Thank you. Thank
Getting
you
the
so
word
much.
out.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So we'll get all of that out there so people can find you. And definitely that spell, because I think the more of us that we can get putting energy towards this,
Yeah.
and
I
not
think
just
it'll
for
be fun.
Pennsylvania.
I think it'll be cool, for everybody. Yeah. Especially if it's like, maybe this is the first candle spell that you've ever done. Hey, it can't backfire if it's not for you, right?
That's right.
So,
There you go.
Just kidding.
I think it's fantastic to be able to bring people together from all over the world to kind of help send energy to you and to this cause.
But as a fellow Pennsylvanian, Beck, we appreciate every single thing that you are doing, because you're doing it for all of us. You're not just doing
100%.
it for you and your shop. You're doing it for
Yeah,
everybody.
man.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, dude. Thank you for letting me just. I don't know. I feel like people just keep letting me do stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how I got here. But
I hear ya. Just keep
know,
doing it.
Yeah,
Sometimes you
but
get on a path, and it's just the path for you, and it seems like you have a lot to do here. So
that, and the situation itself, as silly as it was, it sucked. Not gonna be sugarcoat it, and I would hate for that to happen to anybody else. I would not be able to sleep at night if I didn't at least try. And I'm stubborn. It's my Taurus moon, I guess. So
gotta put it to work somehow, right?
Yeah, I was like, we're just not gonna do this. We're gonna dig our heels in on this one for sure.
That's a good one to dig your heels in on. So again, thank you so much for being on. Beck, where can people find you? What's the next thing that you're up to?
Absolutely. So I'm all over the internet. If you guys want to hang out at the shop, you can check out everything that we're doing at serpentskeyshop.com. Otherwise, you can follow me on Instagram under the Serpent's Key with underscores between the words, or the Stitching Witch, again with underscores between the words. And that's kind of where I am active on TikTok and Instagram, kind of the same amount. But that's usually where I'm posting and hanging out and just kind of vibing in that corner of the internet for sure.
And if folks are in Southern Pennsylvania, can you quick give us the address of your shop?
Yeah, totally, dude. We are located at 28 Carlisle Street here in Hanover, Pennsylvania. We're right downtown next to a really killer arcade and a lot of other fun stuff. So it is definitely worth the trip, if not just for the potato chips that we have here.
Sweet. I didn't make that connection till just now. I love those potato chips.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Utz and Snyder's of Hanover, the pretzels, that's us. Yeah, dude. Snacktown, USA.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for being on Back on the Broomstick, and thank you all for listening to this episode. We will see you next week. Be wise, be wicked.
And keep it witchy while you're being active, folks.